Welcome to my channel. Subscribe, listen, and enjoy my stories every day. The ticking of the clock on the wall seems louder tonight. Each tick slices through the heavy silence of our living room, a constant reminder of time slipping away, of something I can't quite put my finger on, something lurking in the shadows of my mind. I've been feeling this way for weeks now, maybe months. An unsettling tension has taken residence in the pit of my stomach, and every day it grows a little more impossible to ignore. The wine glass in my hand trembles slightly, a reflection of my nerves as much as the slight buzz from the alcohol. Emily sits across from me, her eyes glued to her phone, fingers dancing across the screen as she types furiously. She's been distant lately, her once warm and open demeanor replaced by a cold, impenetrable barrier. I've asked her about it, of course. She always shrugs it off, telling me that work is stressful or that she's just tired. I've wanted to believe her, but something in her voice, in her eyes, tells me there's more to the story. Are you okay? I ask, my voice barely breaking the silence. She looks up, almost startled, like she'd forgotten I was there. What? Yeah, I'm fine. Just, busy. Busy with what? Work, she says, her tone clipped, and then her gaze drifts back to her phone. I watch her for a moment longer, studying the furrow of her brow, the tension in her jaw. There's something off. I can feel it in my bones, but I don't push. I'm not sure I'm ready for whatever truth might come tumbling out if I do. The silence stretches on, heavy and suffocating. I take another sip of wine, trying to swallow the unease, but it sticks in my throat like a shard of glass. I set the glass down on the coffee table and stand, my movements deliberate. I'm going to bed, I say, though I'm not sure sleep will come easily tonight. Okay, she replies, not looking up. I linger for a moment, hoping for something. A sign that she'll follow, that she'll put down the phone and we'll talk like we used to. But there's nothing. She's lost in whatever world exists on that tiny screen, and I'm left feeling like an intruder in my own home. As I turn to leave, I catch a glimpse of her phone out of the corner of my eye. It's not work she's busy with, it's a text conversation. A name I don't recognize flashes at the top of the screen before she quickly swipes it away, almost as if she's hiding it from me. My heart skips a beat, a cold wave of dread washing over me. I don't say anything, but the seed of suspicion has been planted, and it's already taking root. I head upstairs, the familiar creak of the wooden steps under my feet somehow more pronounced tonight. I move through the motions of getting ready for bed, but my mind is elsewhere, replaying the scene downstairs, dissecting every detail, every nuance. In bed, I lie on my back, staring at the ceiling, my thoughts racing. There's no denying it now. Something is wrong, something more than just stress or exhaustion. My mind goes to dark places, imagining scenarios that make my stomach churn. I try to push them away, but they keep coming back, stronger and more vivid each time. Hours pass, but sleep doesn't come. Instead, I find myself wide awake, my mind circling the same disturbing thoughts. I finally sit up, running a hand through my hair in frustration. I can't keep ignoring this. I need answers. Quietly, I slip out of bed and head back downstairs. The house is dark, the only light coming from the faint glow of the street lamp outside filtering through the curtains. I move to the window, peering out at the quiet street, but my mind is still on the phone I saw in Emily's hand. She's still on the couch, still glued to that screen. Her face is illuminated by the soft blue light, but there's no warmth in her expression, just a cold, detached focus. I feel a pang in my chest, the distance between us more than just physical. I can't just sit back and let this fester any longer. I need to know what's going on, even if the truth is something I'm not ready to face. Emily, I say, my voice breaking the silence. She startles, quickly locking her phone and setting it face down on the couch beside her. Her eyes meet mine, and for a moment, I see something there, guilt, fear, something. But it's gone in an instant, replaced by the usual guarded expression. "What?" she asks, her tone defensive. "We need to talk." "About what?" "About us. About what's been going on." She sighs, leaning back on the couch, crossing her arms over her chest. "There's nothing going on, Mark. You're imagining things." "Am I?" I ask, my voice firmer than I expected. "Because it doesn't feel like it. You've been distant, secretive. I don't know what's happening, but it's like you're not even here anymore." She shifts uncomfortably, her eyes darting around the room, avoiding mine. "I'm just stressed, okay? Work's been hell." "Is it just work?" "What do you mean?" she snaps, her tone defensive. "I saw the texts, Emily. The ones you were so quick to hide." She stiffens, her eyes narrowing. "You're spying on me now?" It's hard not to notice when you're so obvious about it. For a moment, there's silence. A heavy, suffocating silence that fills the space between us. I can see the gears turning in her mind, and I wonder what she's thinking, what she's planning to say. Finally, she exhales, and the tension seems to leave her all at once. "I'm sorry, Mark," she says quietly, her voice barely above a whisper. "I didn't mean for you to find out like this." A cold shiver runs down my spine, and I feel my heart drop. "Find out what?" She hesitates, her eyes flicking back to her phone. When she speaks again, her voice is shaky. "There's something I need to tell you. Something that's been going on for a while now." My blood runs cold, and I can feel my hands start to tremble. "What is it, Emily?" She looks down, unable to meet my eyes. "I've made some bad decisions. I've been going to the casino, gambling. I lost a lot of money, Mark. More than I can pay back." The revelation hits me like a punch to the gut, but it's not the whole story, I can feel it. There's more. And I took out a loan. From the bank. But I couldn't keep up with the payments. And then, the bank director, he offered me a way out. My breath catches in my throat as the pieces start to fall into place. "What do you mean, a way out?" She finally looks up at me, her eyes filled with tears. "He said if I slept with him, he'd help me with the debt." I didn't know what else to do, Mark. I was desperate. I stare at her, my mind struggling to process what she's just told me. The room seems to tilt, the walls closing in around me. I feel like I'm drowning, the weight of her words pulling me under. "You're sleeping with him?" I ask, my voice barely more than a whisper. She nods, a tear slipping down her cheek. "I'm so sorry. I didn't want to, but I didn't know what else to do." My world shatters in that moment, the betrayal cutting deeper than anything I've ever felt before. I can't breathe, can't think. The woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved, has been lying to me, betraying me in the worst way possible. I turn away, unable to look at her any longer. The pain is too much, the betrayal too deep. I need to get out of here, need to escape before I do something I'll regret. I can't do this, I mutter, my voice breaking. "Mark, please," she begs, but I'm already moving, already heading for the door. I don't know where I'm going, but I know I need to get out, to put as much distance between us as possible. I grab my keys and leave the house, the door slamming shut behind me, the final punctuation on the end of everything I thought I knew. As I drive away, the road blurring through my tears, I know one thing for sure, I will make them both pay for what they've done. The gravel crunches under my tires as I pull into the parking lot of the only place I can think to go. The neon sign outside the bar flickers, casting a sickly yellow light over the cracked pavement. It's a dive, the kind of place where people come to drown their sorrows and forget the world for a while. Right now, that sounds perfect. I kill the engine and sit there for a moment, my hands gripping the steering wheel like it's the only thing keeping me anchored. My mind is a storm of anger, betrayal, and confusion, each thought crashing into the next until I can barely think straight. Emily's confession replays in my head like a broken record, each repetition driving the knife in a little deeper. I finally force myself out of the car, my movements mechanical, like I'm watching someone else go through the motions. The cool night air hits my face, doing little to clear the fog of emotions swirling inside me. I shove my hands into my pockets and head toward the bar, the distant thrum of music growing louder with each step. Inside, the place is exactly what I expected, dimly lit, smoky, and filled with the low hum of conversation. A few people glance up as I walk in, but they quickly lose interest, turning back to their drinks and their own troubles. I make my way to the bar, sliding onto a stool and signaling the bartender. He's an older guy, grizzled and world-weary, with a face that looks like it's seen its share of hard times. He doesn't say anything, just gives me a nod and pours me a whiskey. I take it without a word, the burn of the alcohol a welcome distraction from the turmoil inside me. As I sip my drink, I scan the room, trying to lose myself in the anonymity of the crowd. A group of men in the corner are playing pool, their laughter loud and brash. A couple sits in a booth near the back, lost in each other, oblivious to the world around them. For a moment, I wonder what their story is. Are they happy? Or is there something darker lurking beneath the surface, like there was with Emily and me? I don't want to think about her, but it's impossible not to. The betrayal is still too fresh, the wound too raw. I down the rest of my whiskey and motion for another. The bartender obliges, his eyes flicking over me with a hint of concern before he moves on to another customer. As I nurse my second drink, the door to the bar swings open, and a man walks in. He's tall, broad-shouldered, with a confident swagger that suggests he's used to being in control. His eyes scan the room, and when they land on me, there's a flicker of recognition. I don't know him, but something about the way he looks at me sends a chill down my spine. He walks over, his steps purposeful, and takes the stool next to mine. "Mark, right?" he says, his voice deep and smooth. I turn to him, surprised he knows my name. "Yeah. Do I know you?" He smiles, but it doesn't reach his eyes. "Not really. But I know about you." The statement hangs in the air between us, heavy with implication. I study him for a moment, trying to gauge his intent. There's something unsettling about him, a sense of danger lurking beneath the surface. "What do you mean?" I ask, my voice cautious. He leans in slightly, lowering his voice. "Let's just say we have a mutual acquaintance. Emily." The mention of her name sends a jolt through me, my grip tightening on my glass. "What about her?" "She's in deep, Mark. And now, so are you." I stare at him, my mind racing. Who is this guy? What does he know about Emily? The questions pile up, each one more pressing than the last. "Who are you?" I finally ask. He leans back, taking a sip of his drink before answering. "Call me Jack. I work in security. I've been keeping an eye on Emily for a while now. She's gotten herself into a mess, and it's only going to get worse." I narrow my eyes, suspicion flaring. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I think you're in a position to help me. And because I'm tired of watching her dig herself deeper into this hole." "Help you with what?" Jack looks around, making sure no one is listening before he speaks again. "Emily's not just sleeping with the bank director. She's involved in something bigger, something dangerous. The casino she's been going to isn't just a place to lose money, it's a front for a much larger operation. Money laundering, blackmail, you name it. And your wife is right in the middle of it." My head spins with the revelation, the pieces of the puzzle falling into place with sickening clarity. I feel a surge of anger, both at Emily for dragging us into this and at myself for not seeing it sooner. "And you want me to do what?" I ask, my voice hard. "I want you to help me take them down. The bank director, the casino, everyone involved. They've been operating in the shadows for too long, and it's time someone brought them into the light. I shake my head, the enormity of what he's asking hitting me like a ton of bricks. I don't know anything about this kind of stuff. I'm just a guy whose wife. Jack cuts me off. Whose wife betrayed him? I know. But that's exactly why you're the right person for this. You've got a reason to want revenge, and you've got access. Emily trusts you, even now. You can use that. I open my mouth to argue, but the words die in my throat. He's right, in a twisted way. Emily's betrayal has left me with nothing to lose, and if what Jack is saying is true, then I have a chance to do something about it. To make them all pay. I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. What do you need me to do? Jack's smile returns, this time with a hint of satisfaction. For now, just keep doing what you're doing. Watch Emily, find out what you can about her movements, who she's meeting with. I'll be in touch with more instructions. Before I can respond, the door to the bar opens again, and another man walks in. He's younger, with a nervous energy that contrasts sharply with Jack's calm demeanor. He spots Jack and makes his way over, his eyes flicking to me before settling on Jack. We've got a problem, the younger man says, his voice low and urgent. Jack's expression darkens. What kind of problem? The bank director. He's spooked. He knows something's up, and he's starting to clean house. Jack swears under his breath, his hand tightening around his glass. Damn it. We don't have much time, then. Mark, he says, turning back to me, you need to be careful. If the director suspects anything, he won't hesitate to take drastic measures. The gravity of the situation hits me full force. This isn't just about getting revenge on Emily and the director, it's about stepping into a world where the stakes are life and death. I swallow hard, nodding despite the fear gnawing at my insides. I understand, I say, though I'm not sure I fully do. Jack nods, standing up and clapping me on the shoulder. Good. Stay sharp. We'll be in touch. With that, he and the younger man leave the bar, disappearing into the night. I'm left sitting at the bar, my mind reeling from everything that's just happened. I finish my drink in silence, the weight of the decision I've just made settling over me like a heavy blanket. As I leave the bar and head back to my car, the night feels darker, more oppressive. The road ahead is uncertain, fraught with danger and deception. But one thing is clear, I'm in this now, whether I like it or not. And there's no turning back. I spend the next few days in a haze, going through the motions of my daily life while the storm of emotions and thoughts rages inside me. The conversation with Jack replays in my mind constantly, his words echoing in the silence of my empty house. Emily and I barely speak, the distance between us now a chasm too wide to cross. I can't look at her without seeing the betrayal in her eyes, the lies she's woven into our lives. But tonight, everything changes. It's late when I finally decide to take the first step. Emily is upstairs, in the shower, the sound of water muffled through the closed door. I can hear it faintly from where I stand in the kitchen, my heart pounding in my chest as I stare at her phone lying on the counter. It's locked, of course, but I know her passcode, it's one of the few things about her that hasn't changed. My hand hovers over the device, a war raging inside me. If I do this, there's no turning back. But if I don't, I'll never get the answers I need. I take a deep breath, steadying myself, and pick up the phone. My fingers tremble slightly as I enter the passcode, and the screen unlocks with a soft click. I don't have much time. I quickly navigate to her messages, scrolling through the recent conversations. Most of them are mundane, everyday exchanges with friends and coworkers. But then I see it, a message thread with a name I don't recognize. Henry. My pulse quickens as I open it. The messages are short, terse. Arrangements, times, locations. They're careful not to say too much, but the context is clear. They've been meeting, and not just for casual encounters. There's a sense of urgency in the messages, a tension that mirrors the one I feel tightening around my chest. There's one message in particular that catches my eye. It's from Henry, sent just a few hours ago. Henry, we need to meet tonight. Things are moving faster than expected. Usual place. Emily's response is immediate. Emily, yes. I'll be there. My mind races as I piece together what this means. Tonight. She's planning to meet him tonight. I feel a cold sweat break out on my forehead. This is the chance I've been waiting for. I put the phone back exactly where I found it, the adrenaline coursing through my veins as I rush back upstairs. The sound of the shower is still going, and I know I have a few minutes before she comes out. I need to be ready. I change into dark clothes, something inconspicuous, and grab my car keys. I'll follow her, see where she goes, and find out exactly what's going on. As I slip out the back door, I can hear the shower stop, the water pipes groaning as the flow is cut off. I don't have much time. I get into my car, parking it a few houses down the street where I can see the front door. The minutes stretch on, each one a taut string pulled tight with tension. Finally, the front door opens, and Emily steps out, dressed in a long coat, her movements quick and deliberate. She doesn't notice me as she gets into her car, the engine roaring to life. I wait until she's pulled out of the driveway before I follow, keeping a safe distance. My hands grip the steering wheel so hard my knuckles turn white, but I force myself to stay focused. This isn't just about following her, it's about finding out the truth, no matter how much it hurts. She drives through the city, the streets empty at this late hour. My heart races as we leave the main roads behind, heading into a more industrial part of town. It's a part of the city I rarely visit, filled with warehouses and abandoned buildings, the kind of place where secrets are kept and deals are made in the shadows. Emily pulls into a parking lot behind an old, decrepit building. I park a block away, getting out of the car quietly and making my way toward the building on foot. The air is thick with tension, every sound amplified in the silence of the night. I creep around the side of the building, staying close to the shadows, and peer through a broken window. Inside, the space is dimly lit, the air thick with dust. Emily is there, standing in the middle of the room, her back to me. And she's not alone. Henry is there too, a tall man with sharp features and an air of authority. They're talking, but I can't make out the words through the glass. I need to get closer. I find a door slightly ajar and slip inside, moving silently across the cold concrete floor. I keep to the shadows, staying out of sight as I inch closer to them. Their voices become clearer, the tension in their words palpable. I'm telling you, it's getting too risky, Emily says, her voice tinged with fear. If Mark finds out. He won't, Henry interrupts, his tone cold and dismissive. You're doing everything right. Just stick to the plan. What if I can't do this anymore, she asks, her voice trembling. What if I want out? Henry's expression hardens. You knew what you were getting into. There's no backing out now. Emily's shoulders slump, the fight draining out of her. I didn't sign up for this. Henry steps closer, his voice dropping to a menacing whisper. You signed up the moment you took the money. Now you owe us, and we're collecting. Unless you want Mark to find out everything, you'll do as you're told. I feel a surge of anger, my hands balling into fists at my sides. I want to storm in there, to confront them both, but I force myself to stay hidden. I need to hear more. Fine, Emily mutters, her voice barely audible. What do you want me to do? Henry's smile is predatory. There's a shipment coming in tomorrow night. You'll meet the contact and handle the transaction. Make sure it goes smoothly. And remember, one wrong move, and you'll both pay the price. Emily nods, defeated, and Henry turns to leave. I duck back into the shadows, my heart pounding in my chest as he walks past me and out the door. Emily stays where she is, staring at the floor, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. I want to hate her. I want to blame her for everything. But seeing her like this, so broken and trapped, something in me shifts. This isn't just about betrayal anymore. It's about survival. She's in too deep, and now so am I. I slip out of the building and back to my car, my mind racing with everything I've just heard. The pieces are starting to come together, and they paint a dark and dangerous picture. Emily isn't just involved with Henry, she's being controlled, manipulated into doing things she never wanted to do. And now, I'm caught in the middle of it. As I drive away, the city lights blurring past me, I realize that this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about getting to the bottom of this, about protecting myself, and maybe even Emily, from whatever's coming. I pull out my phone and dial Jack's number. He answers on the second ring, his voice sharp and alert. "Mark. I found something," I say, my voice steady despite the chaos in my mind. "Emily's meeting with Henry. There's a shipment coming in tomorrow night. I don't know what it is, but it sounds big." There's a pause on the other end, and then Jack's voice comes through, calm and measured. "Good work. Keep your distance for now, but stay close. We'll need you to be our eyes and ears on this." "What's the plan?" I ask, gripping the steering wheel tighter. "We're going to take them down," Jack replies, his voice resolute. "But we need to be careful. One wrong move, and it all goes up in smoke. Just keep doing what you're doing, and we'll guide you through this." I hang up, my mind spinning with the weight of what I've just gotten myself into. The road ahead is dark and uncertain, but there's no turning back now. The game is in motion, and I'm a part of it, whether I want to be or not. As I drive back home, the city fading into the distance behind me, I know that everything is about to change. The truth is out there, waiting to be uncovered. And I'll be damned if I let Emily and Henry destroy everything without a fight. The day passes in a blur of anxiety and anticipation. My mind races as I prepare for what's to come, replaying Jack's instructions over and over, trying to memorize every detail. There's a sense of inevitability about tonight, a feeling that once I take this next step, there's no going back. But that's the point, isn't it? This is the moment I've been waiting for, the moment where I finally take control of my life again. Night falls, and the city streets take on an eerie stillness as I drive toward the meeting spot Jack had told me about. It's an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of town, a place where shadows gather and secrets are buried. The closer I get, the tighter the knot in my stomach grows, but I push the fear down, focusing instead on the task at hand. I arrive early, parking my car a good distance away and making my way to the warehouse on foot. The night air is thick with tension, every sound amplified in the silence. I slip inside through a side entrance, the cold steel door groaning as I push it open. Inside, the warehouse is vast and empty, the only light coming from a few flickering bulbs hanging from the ceiling. Jack is already there, standing near the center of the room with his arms crossed, his expression as unreadable as ever. He nods when he sees me, motioning for me to come closer. "Everything set?" he asks, his voice low. I nod, swallowing hard. "Yeah. Emily should be here soon. She's supposed to meet Henry and handle the transaction." Jack's eyes narrow. "Good. We'll wait for them to make their move, then we'll take them down. Just stay out of sight until I give the signal." I nod again, my heart pounding in my chest as I move to a spot behind a stack of crates, crouching down to stay hidden. The seconds stretch into minutes, each one dragging by with agonizing slowness. I can feel the weight of the gun Jack gave me pressing against my side, a cold reminder of the danger I'm in. Finally, I hear the sound of a car pulling up outside, followed by the echo of footsteps. I peer around the edge of the crates, my breath catching in my throat as I see Emily enter the warehouse. She's alone, her face pale and drawn, her eyes darting nervously around the room. A moment later, Henry steps in behind her, his expression cold and calculating. "Is it here?" Emily asks, her voice trembling slightly. Henry nods, his eyes scanning the warehouse. "It's here. Just stick to the plan, and everything will be fine." Emily looks around, her fear palpable. What if something goes wrong? Henry's eyes narrow, his tone turning icy. "Nothing will go wrong if you do as you're told." I grip the edge of the crate tighter, my heart racing as I watch the exchange. This is it, the moment I've been waiting for. But as I watch them, something doesn't feel right. There's a tension between them, something unspoken that I can't quite place. And then, out of the shadows, two more figures emerge, men I don't recognize, their faces hard and unforgiving. They're carrying a large duffel bag between them, their movements precise and coordinated. They set the bag down at Henry's feet, and one of them unzips it, revealing stacks of cash in several small, unmarked boxes. Emily's eyes widen as she stares at the contents of the bag, her fear turning to panic. What is this? This wasn't part of the deal. Henry smirks, his expression darkening. Things have changed, Emily. We're upping the stakes. Emily takes a step back, shaking her head. I didn't agree to this. Henry's smirk fades, replaced by a cold, calculating look. You don't have a choice. You're in this now, whether you like it or not. The tension in the air is electric, the warehouse filled with a silence that feels like it could shatter at any moment. I can feel the sweat on my palms, my heart pounding in my ears as I watch the scene unfold. This isn't just about gambling debts or cheating anymore, this is something much bigger, something I never could have anticipated. And then, without warning, the warehouse doors burst open, and a flood of armed men pour in, their guns trained on Henry and the others. I recognize them immediately, Jack's team. The operation is in full swing, and I'm right in the middle of it. Everyone down, one of the men shouts, his voice echoing through the warehouse. Chaos erupts as Henry and the others scramble to react, but they're quickly surrounded, guns pressed to their heads as they're forced to the ground. Emily stands frozen, her eyes wide with fear as she's caught in the middle of the chaos. I stay hidden, my heart racing as I watch the scene unfold. This is what I wanted, isn't it? To see them taken down, to get my revenge. But as I watch Emily, something inside me shifts. She's not just a pawn in this game, she's a victim, just like I am. And as much as I want to hate her, I can't ignore the fear in her eyes, the way she trembles as she's caught in the crossfire. Jack steps forward, his gun trained on Henry as he speaks. It's over, Henry. The operation is finished. You're going to pay for everything you've done. Henry laughs, a cold, hollow sound that sends a shiver down my spine. You think you've won, Jack? You have no idea what you're dealing with. Jack's expression hardens, but before he can respond, there's a sudden movement, a flash of metal as one of Henry's men reaches for a hidden gun. Time seems to slow as I watch the scene unfold, my instincts kicking in as I leap from my hiding spot. Jack, look out! I shout, my voice breaking through the chaos. Jack spins just as the gun goes off, the bullet whizzing past him and hitting one of his men. The warehouse erupts into a frenzy of gunfire, the deafening noise filling the space as both sides open fire. I dive for cover, my heart pounding in my chest as bullets ricochet off the metal crates around me. In the midst of the chaos, I see Emily, crouched behind a stack of crates, her face pale with fear. She's trapped, caught in the crossfire with no way out. Without thinking, I make my way toward her, keeping low as I dodge the hail of bullets. When I reach her, I grab her arm, pulling her to her feet. We have to get out of here. I shout over the noise. She nods, her eyes wide with terror, and together we make our way toward the exit, staying as low as possible. The gunfire continues to rage behind us, the sound deafening, but all I can focus on is getting us out of there alive. We reach the door and burst out into the cool night air, the sudden silence almost jarring after the chaos inside. I don't stop, pulling Emily toward my car parked down the street. We reach it, and I shove her into the passenger seat before jumping in the driver's side and slamming the door shut. I start the engine, the tires screeching as I peel out of the parking lot, putting as much distance between us and the warehouse as possible. Neither of us speaks, the adrenaline still coursing through our veins as we speed through the empty streets. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, I pull over on a deserted side road, the car coming to a stop as the reality of what just happened begins to sink in. I turn to Emily, my breath coming in ragged gasps. "What the hell was that?" I ask, my voice trembling with a mix of fear and anger. She shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "I didn't know, Mark. I swear I didn't know it would go this far." I stare at her, the anger and betrayal bubbling to the surface. "You've been lying to me this whole time, Emily. About everything. And now look where we are." "I'm sorry," she sobs, her voice breaking. "I never wanted any of this. I just wanted to fix things, to make it right." "Make it right?" I scoff, the bitterness in my voice cutting through the night. "You sold yourself to a criminal, dragged me into this mess, and now you want to make it right?" She doesn't respond, her sobs the only sound in the car. I can feel the weight of everything pressing down on me, the lies, the betrayal, the danger. And as much as I want to hold on to the anger, to let it fuel me, I know that this is the end. There's no coming back from this. "We're done, Emily," I say finally, my voice hollow. "I can't do this anymore." She looks up at me, her tear-streaked face full of despair. "Mark, please." "No," I cut her off, shaking my head. "It's over. Whatever we had, it's gone. You made your choices, and now I'm making mine." The silence that follows is heavy, filled with the weight of everything left unsaid. I don't look at her as I put the car in drive and head back to the city, the tension between us a physical barrier that neither of us can cross. When we reach her apartment, I pull over and stop the car, not saying a word. She hesitates for a moment, as if she wants to say something, but then she just opens the door and steps out, the door closing behind her with a soft thud. I watch as she walks away, her figure disappearing into the darkness, and for a moment, I feel a pang of regret. But then the anger returns, and I know I made the right choice. I drive away, leaving the past behind me, the road ahead uncertain but free from the web of lies and deceit that had ensnared me. There's no going back, but maybe, just maybe, I can find a way to move forward. Alone.